You smell pretty good.
I know.
Like a fresh waterfall.
Fresh water.
I don't know, tropical waterfall. With papayas. Alright, come. You're not doing anything anyway.
Yeah, but I have good luck coming here.
Are they? Are you guys already actually leaving?
We are. I told you.
Ava, just when we were like bonding and talking about drugs,
I know.
and you have to leave. Why do you do this to me? Why do you do this to me?
Oh my god.
Oh!
Hi.
Oh, I thought these were your friends.
Different.
What up, Casanova, and welcome to the second video of the chemistry workshop. Thank you for tuning in. In the last video, we talked about a few things. First of all, I introduced you to this idea that it's all just a dance, okay? This very foundational philosophy that my whole system is predicated on. That essentially, like in the animal world, we too engage in a mating dance to showcase our value to women and so that women can really assess us and assess how fit we are as mates. So we sell them, through this dance, so to speak, we sell them on why they should become members of our club. Because we talked about before that we're all trying to sell the opposite sex on becoming members of our club. And so in that same vein, I also showed you how strikingly similar our mating dance is to actual couples dancing and how this can really help you develop a more lighthearted, practical outlook on the subject. We also dispelled some myths surrounding this whole topic of looks, money, and status being the most important thing when it comes to attraction and mating, and talked about the notion of not being good enough. Okay, this idea of not being good enough that's always thrown around and how it cripples a lot of guys and really distorts their perception of things. We also talked about the things that women look for in a man and how most of these things are in fact within your control and how they're mostly behavioral. And this of course led us to the 3 pillars of honest chemistry that we're going to be talking about in more detail in this video, and how that's based on women's 3 fundamental needs, which are security, sexual passion, and understanding. And lastly, we looked at some student examples of guys like Jonathan who really struggled with this whole idea of showcasing intent and setting a certain tone in the interactions, leading, okay, escalating this perceived level of intent. This really hindered initially his ability to develop that chemistry with women, but as he implemented some of these mindsets and principles that I talk about in his interactions, you started seeing a drastic difference in how the interactions unfolded and how the chemistry started to really blossom.
If you're not from Chicago, we have tavern style, which is like squares.
Like they just cut a big round piece up into squares?
And they square it, yeah.
We do that too. You're not special out here.
It's from Chicago.
No, probably not. No way.
It is.
I think you're making
Everyone's
shit up
like deep dish is from Chicago.
Deep dish is not that little square pizza you're talking about.
Tavern style is from Chicago.
No. Okay.
You want to bet?
Are we gonna bet here?
I'll bet you.
Are we betting?
Yeah.
What are we gonna bet?
Anything.
So we're going to talk about more examples of students over the course of these videos, but now I want to get to the meat of this video, which is the 3 pillars of honest chemistry. And I want to talk about them in a little bit more detail so that you could really start seeing the bigger picture of how chemistry is built. All right, so the first pillar is alpha attractiveness, and that is really the extent to which you can make a woman feel secure in the interactions. Meaning, she wants to be with a man who can lead her through life, lead her through the mating dance. She wants to feel like he's got me, okay? He's got me. I feel safe with him, okay? And this alpha attractiveness is comprised of a few things. Mostly it's comprised of your core, let's call it masculine value or core sexual value, okay? The things that make you a man. The things that make you be able to navigate this mating dance and life itself with more ease, with more conviction, okay, with more decisiveness, all right? Because that's what a woman wants, ultimately. So what are some key qualities or components of this core masculine or sexual value that I would say comprises about 70% of this alpha attractiveness in humans, in us guys? So first of all, it's core confidence, okay? And now we hear this word thrown around a lot. It's just be confident, just be confident. What does it mean to have this, core confidence? What are the components of core confidence? Well, first of all, it's competence, okay? Now, obviously, the more, the better you are at something, okay, the more experience you have something, the more competent you're going to be with it, and the more confident you're going to be with regards to it. But I would say the competence is actually a smaller component of all this, because yes, it's normal that as you become more competent in a certain area, you're going to become more confident. But these next three things are actually more important because they actually contribute to you throwing yourself into these situations more that allow you to develop that competence that you need ultimately. Those other things are conviction in yourself and in the process. Okay, so what does that mean? It means inherently trusting yourself or learning over time to trust yourself and knowing that no matter what, you got this, okay? That you can follow the process, okay? The process to success in any area because you're neither below the process nor above it, okay? So it's this internal recognition, and of course, as you navigate more area, more and more through life, and as you, try this, try that, you're going to develop this core conviction that you can do shit, okay? That it just takes, giving yourself permission, trying, failing a little, stepping up. There's a certain inherent process to everything, right? But just knowing that you can just trust this, okay? That you got this. So this conviction in yourself and in the process. Then you have this idea of inner harmony, okay? Being in tune with yourself and with the world around you, okay? So developing this strong but not rigid sense of reality, okay? What matters, what doesn't, how life works, what your fears are, what your motivations are, what your demons are, what your desires are. Again, so being in tune with yourself and with the world around you. And the stronger this sense is, the more confident you are going to be about, life itself, about the process, about, human interaction, behavior, okay? And lastly, it's this idea of surrendering to the flow of life, okay? This idea of letting go of control in a macro sense, okay? Because ultimately, we're not fully in control of the macro forces at play. At any given time, at any specific moment, snapshot in life, you're not really in control of all the macro forces that are at play. You're not in control of the weather, the circumstances, the girl's headspace, what her friends are thinking, what you currently know about social dynamics, what your current level of confidence is. So if you take the snapshot, you're not really in control. And so recognizing that you're not in control at any given moment in time, you know, is actually very powerful, and that helps you detach also from the outcome. Okay, that helps you detach from the outcome and how it validates or invalidates your existence. Detaching your happiness from the outcome at any given specific moment in time. We'll talk more about this idea of control, and you know, it's important to recognize that over time you can make change. Over time you have a certain sense of control. You know, you can learn from a situation, you can build on it. You know, you can watch this video, you can learn these new concepts, you can go out there and apply. But recognizing that at any given moment, even if you're taking some form of action and throwing yourself into a situation, ultimately you don't have a macro sense of control of what's going to happen. So when you slowly start to let go and detach from the outcomes and detach from, again, how these outcomes validate or invalidate your identity, and you just kind of go through life with this scientific, almost curious mindset of, let's see what happens, you know? Let's see what happens. Let's kind of surrender to the forces. Let's do our best and then learn and build and learn and build. That contributes greatly to your general confidence about life, because again, you're not so attached at any specific moment of time, and you don't have this rigid sense of identity, okay, that you keep attaching to these micro outcomes that play out. You're this evolving entity. Okay, so that's very important for confidence. So together, competence, conviction in yourself and in the process, inner harmony, and harmony with the world around you, as well as surrendering to the flow of life, contribute to this idea of core confidence. Okay. Next, we have things like assertiveness and dominance, which are very key to core masculine value, and that's this idea that you can own your desires in life. Okay, that you can give yourself permission to go after them, to go after the things that you want, to persist. Okay, persistence is a very attractive thing. Okay, to persist, to impose within reason. Okay, to push through, right? And this becomes a very prevalent theme when we talk about the idea of rejection, you know, rejection, because a lot of guys actually eject out of situations prematurely. They have a distorted perception of you know, how interactions work, but all else equal, this idea of persistence and, you know, continuously going after something that you want in life, laying your own terms. Okay, this is all very attractive. Okay, so in a certain sense, trying to control, you know, the space around you. What does it mean to be dominant? To control, to the extent that you can at any given moment, to exercise some level of control over your dynamic, even though ultimately we don't really have that control, but it's doing our best to do so. It's saying, hey, this is my space. I can take up more space. I could say, hey, you know, I want this, or I want that, you know, trying to get certain things kind of in order, right? If a girl is, I don't know, being too loud in the car, being like, hey, quiet down for a second. I need to focus, okay? Settle down for a second, all right? It's, you know, laying a boundary if necessary. If she walks in with her shoes into your house and you don't want shoes, you say, hey, can you take off the shoes, please? All right? If you guys are walking on a date and something catches your eye and you want to stop for a second, you want to look at it, okay? You do that. You do things on your own terms. You assert yourself when necessary. You assert a certain level of dominance if necessary.
I guess we're coming to fucking get up. So, 8! Where are we going? Oh.
Ah, we're going to fucking Paris.
Okay, that's
Okay, well,
I'm heavy, I know.
Wait, do you want to get food?
no, Mo.
I get food.
Hold on. First of all, we need to grab. This is, by the way. We need to grab alcohol from your place, unless you guys have alcohol.
I have gin, a lot of it.
Okay. Do we need chaser?
Yeah. No, we have Powerade. No, I'm a little hungry.
So we'll grab some food on the way then.
This way.
Okay, so
Very, very, very key. Very attractive. And lastly, it is having leadership. Okay? All of these, of course, go hand in hand, these masculine qualities that we talk about, but leadership. Leadership is key. It's, again, doing things on your own terms, setting the tone, setting the pace, okay? That doesn't mean you're not looking for feedback in your environment when you're talking to the girl or you're talking to the people that you're leading, whoever it is. But it's saying, hey, I think we should do this, and I stand behind this conviction. And again, a lot of this comes down to, or comes back to giving yourself permission to do things because no one else will.
I mean, in the meantime, I have a few moments actually. If you're not doing anything, we can grab coffee or something. Continue this conversation. Let's go. Let's grab coffee.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not a big decision, right? Let's see.
I will help give you permission in this video, or when I work with my students, I help give them permission to give themselves permission, but ultimately it comes down to you. Okay, so being a leader is being decisive, it's doing things on your own terms, while also, of course, reading the feedback from the environment and trying to be empathetic. So these are the things that comprise alpha attractiveness that are so key for developing chemistry with women. And like I said, comprise about 70% of your alpha attractiveness. Now, the other 30% are comprised of what I call social value. And that's essentially things like how well put together you are, how you dress, your grooming, your looks, your resources, okay? Your network, right? Your money, your status, your knowledge of popular culture, your sense of humor, etc. And these things, while they are valuable to some extent in and of themselves, more than that, they're important because of what they imply about your core masculine qualities, okay? So while nice clothes can be important in and of themselves, it's like, oh, this guy's got a nice sense of style, but more than that, it's what it signals. It's what it signals about your core masculine qualities, okay? So, if he dresses nice, well, he's probably a confident guy who is able to get shit done and live life on his terms because he recognizes what it takes to fit in this, to fit and function in the context of society. He can make decisions. He can look up what a nice style is because he values himself. He values his image. He values the impact he has on the world, etc., etc. You see what I'm saying? His resources, they speak to his ability to get shit done, to go after what he wants, to give himself permission, okay, to do things on his own terms. Perceived status is almost more important than status itself, okay? Because if you exhibit the qualities of someone who could, in theory, have status, that's almost more important than the status itself, even though the status itself, or you having like a large network, speaks to your abilities, okay? So when we talk about signaling, this brings us to this whole idea of honest signals. And that is a key mechanism for conveying your alpha attractiveness. And the 5 primary honest signals are your body language, your vocal tonality and vocal modulation, your eye contact, your facial expressions, and your physical expressivity, or your ability to touch when you when you communicate. So those are the primary honest signals that are going to convey your sexual core masculine value, okay? And there are other signaling mechanisms that convey your social value, you know, like the clothes you wear, you know, convey your social value. You know, you having a nice watch convey your social value. But those are secondary honest signals. The primary honest signals that really convey your perceived level of status, okay, or your perceived, you know, level of masculinity, if you will, okay, are those things that I talked about, because they're really hard, and that's why we call them honest signals, okay? The others are not necessarily honest signals. The clothes you wear, even though they might be very expensive, they're not necessarily the most honest signals, because you could have a rich dad that buys you these clothes, okay? But your body language, how you carry yourself, your, you know, how you express yourself, your vocal tonality and modulation, your eye contact, okay? Your facial expressions, being in touch with your emotions, okay? Being able to inject emotion into your communication, right? Being comfortable touching people when you're out. Those are very powerful signaling mechanisms, because if you are an attractive man, when I say attractive, it means attractive in your behavior, you're going to signal all these things in a very honest way. You're going to signal your inherent, you know, masculine kind of value. So body language, if we want to talk about an attractive man, his body language is slower, okay? You know, more controlled, okay? But also varied, okay? It's not rigid, okay? But it's not like, you know, he's not shifting around like this. To some extent, you're right, you also want to be natural, and sometimes, you know, maybe I'll ADD a little, and, you know, a little bit of shifting is okay. But generally being more at ease, okay, more slow, right? Vocal tonality should be more resonant, as opposed to a nasally voice like this, or a throat voice like this, which a lot of people, you know, have a throat voice like this. A more resonant voice is more masculine. Having more modulation, meaning speaking in a way that's not monotone and static. Speaking in a way that's engaging. So what does that mean? Varying your inflections, okay? Varying, you know, introducing pauses into your speech, right? Changing up the pace, changing up the pitch, okay? Emphasizing certain things, right? That's all important to conveying a certain level of conviction and passion in your, or I don't want to necessarily say passion, because you're not always going to be passionate, but certain level of conviction in how you speak. It means you're allowing yourself to express in this way, and you're also in touch with what engages in social dynamics. Okay, so that's a very powerful signaling mechanism. Okay, your eye contact, right, should be steady at times, you know, strong, but also, you know, relaxed, and sometimes intermittent. You know, your contact doesn't always need to be fixed. You got to take breaks. It's normal to take breaks. It's a common misconception guys have. Your facial expressions, right? Being in touch with your facial expressions, sometimes having a more stern look, sometimes having a more doubtful look, sometimes having a more seductive look, okay, is powerful. And again, physical touch. Guys that are more confident will typically tend to touch people when they interact, both men and women, okay? So it doesn't necessarily have to be in a sexual way, although of course that is important as you escalate the level of perceived intent in your interactions. But I just mean, you know, basic touching when you're interacting. Men that are more confident, socially more confident, are going to allow themselves to touch more. So again, also a powerful signaling mechanism. So that is, in a nutshell, alpha attractiveness, and it's something you have to work on. It's something that you have to build. And as you put yourself out there more and give yourself more permission to do stuff, to try stuff, to push your comfort zone, this alpha attractiveness is going to build and is then going to feed in to the rest of your interactions. So it's kind of like a cycle. The more you put yourself out there, the more permission you give yourself, the more you're going to cultivate these qualities of confidence, assertiveness, dominance, leadership. The more you put yourself into uncomfortable situations, the more confrontations you have in life, uncomfortable situations, the more decisions, tough decisions you make. That all feeds into your alpha attractiveness, and that then is, as that builds, it's going to permeate your vibe and your interactions, which is then going to result in more feedback from the world. That's going to then feed into your core masculine qualities further, your alpha attractiveness further. Okay, so it's important, if you're not super confident, super decisive, super assertive, to say, oh well, I can't do this. No, the idea is to just put yourself out there. Step up, right? Assert yourself, right? Until you build the muscle, until it becomes, a part of this new you. All right, now the second pillar of chemistry is sexual tension. And this is the extent to which you can make a woman feel sexual passion, or a passion for life. They really do go hand in hand. And this is what I would say what makes the dance the dance.
Very big island in the middle of the Pacific.
The UK?
Australia.
You're from Australia. Okay.
Oh, you don't know the history of Australia?
No, of course not.
It was prisoners, because there was too many prisoners, not enough space in the jails in the UK, and so they sent them all on the ship to the middle of the ocean on the other side of the planet.
No way, I did not know that. Well, there you go.
Well, you learned something. That's why you came to the museum, right?
Because I didn't know that. I didn't think I would learn that tonight, but there you go.
And you were born in Toronto, right? Because you don't have an accent.
I'm actually visiting. I'm from Vancouver.
Oh,
Yeah.
same thing. If you want me after 2 days here to tell the difference between a Toronto accent and a Vancouver accent, your expectations are way too high.
It's pretty much the same thing, but a bit different. A little bit different.
Do you guys say full send?
Sorry?
Do you guys say full send in Vancouver?
No, we don't say that. I don't know what that is.
You don't watch Nelk?
Don't watch what?
Nelk? That's the only thing I know of Canada. Canada's like Nelk and Kenny vs. Penny for me.
Oh, are you serious?
You know Kenny vs. Penny?
No, I don't know any of those things.
Do you have a television?
I don't. Clearly, I was home. And I stayed there for years.
You stayed where? Sorry?
Under the rock. Stayed
Legit.
Under the rock.
Legit.
Lived under the rock for years.
Fuck, so you're an outdoors girl.
Definitely. Exactly. That's a nice way to put it, but...
Should we go explore a bit?
This is what makes the mating dance the dance. And you'll understand why in a bit, but let's talk about this in a little bit more detail. What is sexual tension? Okay, so it is the measurement, okay, let's call it the measurement, for lack of a better word, of frustrated desire, okay, of sexual pressure between you and the girl, of friction, okay? Why is it frustrated? Why is this desire frustrated? Well, because on the one hand, there's this sexual passion between you two, okay? But on the other hand, there's this ambivalence that's resulting from the two of you not currently having sex, okay? And you see this in an interaction between a man and a woman. It's almost like they should be fucking, but they're not. And we talked about this when we were using the couples dancing analogy. When there's passionate dancing, it's almost like they should be fucking, but they're not, okay? So it's this frustration of desire. Cultivating sexual tension in an interaction or exhibiting it means hinting in our behavior and in our vibe at the obvious, okay, that we want to fuck. So when you're interacting with a girl, one of the things is hinting at this idea that we want to fuck, okay? This is very important. So again, sexual tension is built on the premise that, first of all, this is a dance. And again, we'll understand soon why, okay? It's built on this premise that this is a dance, and we have to recognize this. And also, it means recognizing consciously and subconsciously that we have sexual intent, okay, by both parties, by both you and the girl, but usually you want to set the tone first. You need to take the lead. Remember, you have to lead. So we're going to be seeing this theme of alpha attractiveness permeating through all this. You got to take the lead. You got to set the tone. Okay. So recognizing that it's a dance and recognizing consciously and unconsciously that there is sexual intent. And so what you want to do is gradually raise this sexual tension in the interaction gradually, okay, by building it and releasing it, by building it and releasing it. Don't worry, we'll talk about how in a second. Building it and releasing it. Not enough tension is not good. It's not good. A lot of guys struggle, with building tension. There's no tension at all. It's when they're, nice and friendly and agreeable. Too much tension is also not good, especially if it's unreleased. When there's just too much pressure, too much tension in the interaction that's not released, also not good. So you want to gradually raise it and keep it at this good level until, the ultimate release is, of course, sex. But until then, you gradually raise it and maintain it without overblowing it. So how is sexual tension essentially built? Well, it's a combination of two things. It's a product of two things. Two things I call tension fuel and interaction temperature. What is tension fuel, Vadim? What is tension fuel? Tension fuel is the overall effect. Okay, when we look at, let's say, your interaction, a snapshot of your interaction with the girl, we say, well, what is the tension fuel? The tension fuel is the overall effect of your actions and communications, okay, the overall effect on her perception of your interest in her. Okay, it's how she perceives your interest in her. And it is the measurement of friction, ambiguity, and doubt around that perception. All right? So when we think of a dance, okay, a good dance involves not just sticking glued to the girl, okay, but a good dance involves this healthy back and forth between you and the girl. You're spinning her away, you're spinning her in. You're pulling her in towards you, you're pushing her away. There's constantly this this is what we talk about, this ambiguity, right? This friction, this ambivalence, okay? We're together, but we're not together. 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 If it was constantly like this, it would not be fun. It wouldn't work. It breaks down. Dancing breaks down. The mating breaks down. You're constantly like this. You need this. You need this. Okay? You need this. This is one of the integral parts of sexual tension. It's almost like you can never fully ever have each other. okay? Even if you do have each other, even if you're in a relationship, okay? You're married, whatever. And it's like, well, in theory, yes, she has me, I have her. But a healthy dynamic, a healthy sexual tension is you never fully have one another. There's always some level of space that is created in a variety of different ways, of back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. That's what maintains a healthy sexual tension in the dynamic. And this is a big part of what makes this dance a dance. And this is generally done by what we call pushing and pulling, okay? Pushing and pulling. Sometimes our actions, our gestures, our communication is a neutral, what I call neutral, okay? But in order to create this dancing dynamic, there has to be an element of push and pull. And some of it is direct. It's like you're consciously engaging in this dance, if you will, okay? And some of it is indirect. It's just a byproduct of you doing your thing, being your alpha attractive self. Sometimes the space, this space will be created, widened or narrowed as a byproduct of how you naturally behave in your interactions. So again, you're pushing, you're pulling, okay? It can be directly, indirectly, sometimes semi-directly. I wouldn't worry too much about that. Let's look at some examples, okay? A pull, right? You're bringing her in. You high-five her and compliment her on the fact that she's a fan of the TV show The Office. Direct pull. Indirect, you offer to buy her a drink. You offer to buy her a drink, and so indirectly you are signaling, hey, I like you, I validate you, all right? A push, a direct push. You tease her about having some kind of a weird accent when she speaks French. Okay, indirect push. You lay a boundary and tell her that she can't wear her shoes in the house. And if she complains and says, no, I just want to wear them, and you assert yourself, right? In so doing, you're pushing her away a little. It's like she doesn't fully have you. It's like, hey, he's laying a boundary. He's laying a boundary that has to be respected. I don't fully have him. What's a semi-direct example? Okay, a lot of these things are going to just become more intuitive as you go through this. But you're helping set up for a party, and she decides that she wants to be the DJ for the party. She goes on Spotify, puts some music on. You happen not to like the music, so you can't help but want to comment on the music and maybe let her know that she can't be in charge of music. So on the one hand, you're recognizing that, hey, you're kind of pushing her away. You're maybe teasing her by saying her music's not good enough and she can't be in charge of the music. But on the other hand, it's kind of a byproduct of the situation, right? So let's call it semi-direct. You are pushing her away. And what are some neutral comments? Well, neutral comments are everything in between. It's things that have nothing to do with the girl herself, okay? Or how you feel about the girl herself. So it could be making some comment about the environment. It could be saying how you really like the brand Levi's and Levi's jeans. It could be you singing along to a song. But these neutral comments can actually be important when it comes to the temperature, okay? Remember we said the sexual tension is the product of tension, fuel, and interaction temperature. And we're going to talk about that shortly. Okay, so you're creating this tension fuel by occasionally pushing and pulling. Okay, and that builds up this tension fuel, this friction, this ambiguity, this doubt around her perception of your interest in her, of your validation on her. It's like, do I have them? Do I not? Do I have them? Do I not? I don't know. I don't know. Okay? That's what builds up that tension fuel. The second component is the interaction temperature. Remember, we said interaction temperature, or tension fuel times interaction temperature. What is interaction temperature? It is the overall effect of your actions and your communications on the general vibe of the interaction. And it really means it's the extent to which your overall vibe communicates a certain playfulness, a certain level of passion and sexual intent towards the girl or towards life. Because really, they are one. Surprise, surprise. A woman is really an extension of nature. So to be able to be sexual towards women, you have to be sexual towards life in general. You have to make love to life, if you will, and become more comfortable with, with your sexuality and with this idea of sex. Okay, what does it mean to make love to life? So the extent to which your overall vibe communicates playfulness, passion, and sexual intent. So this temperature, okay, at any given moment can vary. It could be chill, okay? You could tell a girl, I like your shoes. Orthopedic, okay, a little tease. It can be hot, meaning very intentful. Right? You could tell a girl, if you sing for me, I'll get you some gelato. Yes, I love the sound of your voice. That's right. I will feed it to you, but you have to earn it first. So, see the difference in that energy? It could be warm, right? You could say, I fucking love swings. They make me feel like a kid again, like anything is possible. Come on, let's go. All right, so you're showcasing this passion in what's a neutral comment. It could be neutral in this other way. It could be warm in this other way. You could say, it could be playful, right? You're exhibiting a certain playfulness. All right, you say, let's say you're at a restaurant or something. You say, you think they'd mind if I just walked out of there with this painting? Let's say there's like some cool painting hanging in the restaurant. You say, you think they'd mind if I just walked out of here with this cool painting, right? Like super casually. The trick is to do it really casually, okay? To just own it and no one will stop you. Okay, so here you are exhibiting this playful attitude towards life, okay, which contributes to the overall temperature, okay, of the interaction.
Real talk, you distract the bartender, I'll grab a bottle of fucking rye. Real talk, distract the bartender, bat your eyelashes, I'll grab a bottle of rye.
He actually has a huge crush on me, so.
What?
He actually has a huge crush on me, so.
Then we're Gucci. Then we're Gucci.
Good, you heard that?
Oh fuck, there's two of them.
Tattooed one wants my body. I mean, who wouldn't blame him, right?
That's because you're Russian.
I'm a little
Russian type little cute.
So again, every action, gesture, facial expression, okay, conveys an expression of perceived interest or validation, okay, or disinterest and invalidation, which changes the tension fuel, along with a certain energy, okay, that changes the temperature, okay, and the combination of these two is the vibe of that particular act and communication, which brings about a certain change in the sexual tension. So over time, okay, that sexual tension is built up as a product of these two things. So hopefully it's starting to make more sense. I want to, again, to illustrate the point, I want to show you an example of a cold, chill, warm or hot. Okay, push and pull, and then similarly do the same and do the same thing for neutral comments. I want to show you how you can do this. Okay, how you can exhibit this energy through both pushing and pulling and through neutral comments where you showcase a certain attitude towards life, and how this pushing and pulling can create this kind of this dancing dynamic that we talked about. So let's look at a cold example. Okay, what is a cold push? Okay, why are you even studying Japanese? How can you possibly think that that's useful? Okay, or a cold pull. Yo, this is good music. You know what? I'm gonna put you in charge of music for the party. A chill vibe. Okay, chill push. Why would you bother with Japanese? You know, why not Spanish or something? All right, or a chill pull. Damn, this is some good music you put on. Can you like be in charge of music for the party? A little bit more of a playful, passionate, or intentful attitude toward life, and the girl marginally so. Okay, warm. A warm vibe, and this is where things get, you know, more intentful, more playful. Okay, a warm push. Girl, what are you doing studying Japanese? That's not a good use of your time. All right, no more Japanese for you. We're switching you to French. All right, something more useful. The language of love. Okay, give me a croissant. Okay, so more playful. Okay, more intentful. Or a pull. Okay, damn, this is some groovy music, girl. How would you like to be in charge of the music for this party? Okay, you're starting to see more flirtatious, more intentful, more playful kind of temperature or energy. Okay, now lastly, let's look at hot, more intentful, more playful. Okay, let's imagine you're pushing her. Okay, she's telling you again, she's studying Japanese. Japanese. Fuck that. What do you think, you're gonna be all cultured and shit? No, 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 my little geisha. You're wasting your time. Okay, do you see how intentful this energy is? Okay, let's look at a pull. Same thing with the music example. Okay, you like the music that she's playing. Damn, this is some good music you got here. It's kind of turning me on, not gonna lie. I want to put you in charge of music for this party, young lady. Do you accept? All right, again, very intentful vibe. Now, this can be exhibited by making neutral comments as well that still contribute to the sexual tension. So if it's a cold and neutral comment, you say something like, I have a very love-hate relationship with pizza. I always feel super guilty from eating all that dough. Okay, very cold. You're just making this very matter-of-fact statement. Okay, let's look at a chill comment. Okay, I've only snowboarded like a few times in my life, you know, but I'd be down to go again. All right, chill. Okay, warm neutral. Okay, well, let's imagine there's a song that's on and you want to sing along. Saturday night dance, I like the way you move. Pretty baby, it's party time and not 1 minute we can lose. Be my baby. Okay, you see how you're exhibiting a more intentful, playful, passionate attitude towards life by doing that? Women pick up on that shit. Or a hot neutral comment. These mangoes are so fucking good. Oh my God. You don't think that's gonna contribute to the overall sexual tension in the interaction? So, and of course this has to be done, all these things have to be done at appropriate times, right? And you're slowly, you know, escalating or raising the sexual tension And the idea is to sprinkle in this pushing and pulling and this, you know, intentful energy in the interaction, right? You want to sprinkle it in so you don't overwhelm the girl, okay? And in so doing, you generally raise the sexual tension. So there's this general attitude of two steps forward, one step back, you know, as you increase the level of intent in the interactions. But, you know, sometimes you can start with, you know, a warmer or more intentful energy and then transition into a more chill energy. You don't always have to start with something more chill and build it up to more intentful. So at night, for example, where the level, you know, if you're meeting a girl at a bar or a club and the level of arousal, okay, and stimulus is higher, you can sometimes, if calibrated well, start the interaction on a much more intentful note. You know, you can grab the girl by two hands, be like, "Where have you been? I've been looking everywhere for you." Okay, and then just, you know, check her out maybe, and then just slow it down, let it cool, you know, let it cool off for a bit, make some normal conversation.
Excuse me, girl who looks like she is ready to come over to the dark side.
Hi, Mr. Devil. I'm already on the dark side.
All right, perfect.
Stay away from me.
I've come to put you in touch with your lustful desires.
No, I'm trying to be good.
You can call me El Diablo. What's your name? Are you Russian?
Serbian.
Serbian. I like Eastern European girls. Perfect.
Oh, really? You're like what,
You know what
Spanish?
I like about them? I'm Russian. You know what I like about them?
You're Russian? Oh, that's
They're
nice.
very tall.
I'm just normal.
What?
I'm normal.
No.
If you compare to my other family members, they're like, I'm normal. Sorry.
No, but I mean, like, Serbian girls are usually pretty tall.
Yeah, for the depends on the standard.
How was your night?
Montenegro.
Montenegro, how was your night?
Good.
This way. Dance with the devil like this.
Fucking devil. I'm a devil.
When you dance
too.
with the devil, you wait for the song to end. Have you seen Lock, Stock, and Two
I am
Smoking
not
Barrels?
afraid of the devil. I'm the devil.
But similarly, you can start a chill conversation, and then at some point be like, "Hey, you're not going anywhere." Okay, let's say her friends come, be like, "Hold on, you're not going anywhere. We're starting to bond here, girl." Right? As you look at her intently, so you are building it over time, but that doesn't mean that you always have to start with a more chill kind of energy. You can give yourself permission to start more intentfully and to really set the tone for the interaction. And also, it's worth noting that sometimes the facial gestures in and of themselves can create this pushing and pulling dynamic, or can hint at a certain temperature as well, as we saw, you know, with that, with the more intentful and sexual vibe that we give off. Sometimes it's enough to just, you know, make a facial expression like this, where you're squinting more and you're smirking suggestively, and you're checking her out, and that already, you know, speaks volumes. And sometimes you can push the girl away by having a more, you know, colder or disapproving face. You know, as a general note, I like to have a default facial expressions that's somewhat, it's a little bit skeptical and unimpressed or disagreeable. You know, something like this. Not like this. You know, some guys have like a default. Yeah, you know, it's varied, right? It's varied, okay? And you can come back to this default, right? You don't want to always be like this. But you can come back to this default facial expression of like, maybe even having a bit of a smirk. The idea is that you can push and pull and express with your facial expressions. So, you know, if you're smirking like this, you might be pulling her in. If you're skeptical, she says, something about, I don't know, vegan diet and you're not into the vegan diet, you can be like, what are we gonna do with you, right? So that disapproving, disagreeable facial expression will push her away, even if you don't say anything. And there are many tools, both as far as physical touch and verbally, that you can use, and we'll be talking more about in the video, to create this pushing and pulling, dancing dynamic, and to introduce some of these varying temperatures, okay, especially when it comes to, warmer temperatures that signal a more playful, a more passionate, a more sexually intentful vibe, about the girl, about life, and just spice up the dynamic, okay? But of course, done in moderation. All right, now the third pillar of chemistry is relatable connection. And it is the extent to which you can make a woman feel understood, okay? Comfortable, at ease, and understood. So, how do we achieve that? Well, first of all, there are 3 mindsets that you need to adopt and cultivate that will really facilitate this. One is assuming a frame of familiarity, okay? This is very key in social interactions in general. It's, you recognize sometimes when you're meeting strangers, you're meeting a woman for the first time, okay? You recognize that, yes, I am a stranger. She is a stranger. And there are certain things that you do to, to account for that. If you're stopping her in the street, you want to stop in a certain way, you want to maybe give her context, blah, blah, blah. But overall, the vibe, the general MO is acting as if that you and her already know one another, okay? That she's already part of your club. I even act as if her and I are dating, okay? And this is very powerful and will really help put the woman at ease because, you take yourselves both out of this impression mode where you have to impress the girl, right? But instead you're just expressing, you're just being. Your body language is more relaxed. When you act as if you already know one another, the way you're standing, the way you're behaving is more at ease, it's more relaxed. You're giving yourself permission to do that because, again, the idea is you already know one another. She's already a part of your club.
It's a cool fucking tattoo. Did you get it for anybody specific?
No, I just liked it, but I need to touch it up.
Is that your only one?
No, I have one over.
What's it say?
It says hand in hand in my heart. It's my
Hand
dad's.
in hand in my heart.
It's my dad's handwriting.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Okay, so you got a picture of your dad's handwriting?
Yeah,
with the tattoo artist?
there was a letter he wrote to us.
Let's see. Tattoos are fucking fascinating. I mean, only because I was brought up in a culture where they were like forbidden. So like the older I grew, I was like, maybe I should get a fucking tattoo. I just don't know what I'd get a tattoo of. Maybe a fedora on my shoulder.
That'd be cool. You wear fedoras a lot?
I do. I'm actually a con artist. Speaking of, how much money do you have on you?
$10.
$10. Those are my $10. Just letting you know.
Oh,
shit.
why are you a con artist?
Why am I a con artist? What's more fun than deceiving innocent folk?
I met a con artist last night.
Really? How'd you know he was a con artist?
Just tell.
You could just tell.
He was kind of. He was like, I have a bike for you. Like, he was like, I don't know how to explain it. He's not homeless, but
Okay.
he just doesn't have a home. So.
You talk about things that are what I like to call mildly interesting or mildly amusing. So it doesn't have to be something crazy, super insightful, super funny, super interesting. No, mildly interesting, mildly amusing. Make some comment about the billboard, okay? You share some little story about the cappuccino that you got earlier today, okay? You make some comment about her blouse, because when you know someone, you don't have to impress them, right? You feel very at ease with them. The next thing is adopting a competitive versus collaborative mindset. And that means that you inherently recognize that you and the girl are not in competition with one another. Like some guys like to see it. I have to one-up the girl. I have to show her. I'm not gonna get taken advantage of. You know, this other girl rejected me. Well, you know, I'm gonna reject her first, you know, blah, 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 whatever competitive, weird mindsets that guys have. No, it is collaborative. You and the girl are always collaborating to see if you can dance the dance together. It may not always work, okay? Maybe you're fucking something up. Maybe she's not in the headspace. Maybe she's in a certain mood. But you're never, you know, we talked about this idea of not taking things personally. You never see it as some kind of warfare or competition. No matter what, it's always collaborative. I don't care if she tells you off, calls you a piece of shit, okay? I'm not saying don't have boundaries, don't stand up for yourself and all that stuff, okay? But she's never the opponent. She's never the competitor. She's always the collaborator. You just have to find a way to make it work, okay? So that's the mindset. It's always collaborative. Sometimes it can't work in that moment, you know? She's going through some emotional turmoil and you happen to pass by and she's like, fuck you, why are you even talking to me? Okay, you know, you can recognize that it may not be good timing, but it doesn't mean that she's bad, okay, or she's the opponent. It's still collaborative, just not right now, okay? So this is very important mindset to have. And the last one is a general freedom from outcome that we've talked about. You know, we talked about confidence. It's being most engaged but least attached. Okay, it's going to make you not needy. Okay, a lot of guys are needy because they need this to work out. They need it to work out. They're attached to the outcome. They're attached to what that outcome says about who they are, whether it validates or invalidates their identity, whether they can be happy or they can't be happy. When they think that they can control the outcome. When you recognize, when you detach from that, and you recognize that it shouldn't validate or invalidate your identity. In fact, your identity shouldn't be that rigid to begin with. It's this fluid kind of concept. So when you kind of let go of that, you're free from the outcome. Okay, you're still engaged. You're still very engaged. You're still trying to make it happen because you want to, because you're curious. But you're okay with how things turn out. That's going to put a lot less pressure on the girl. It's not you're not going to exhibit this needy vibe, okay? And again, that's going to make her feel more at ease, more comfortable, more connected to you. Some principles that are important to keep in mind to establish a more relatable connection is being genuine, okay? About who you are, about what you want, what you don't like, etc. Okay, what you stand for, what you don't stand for. And you'll see that a lot of these things tie in with alpha attractiveness, right? You can be, for example, dominant and assertive and confident without being honest with yourself and with others, right? So being genuine, being present, okay, being present, being there with the girl, being present. Listening to what she's doing, taking in the environment.
The idea is I love this stuff, and I meet different people in the private equity and mentorship space, also angels, because we deal with startups that want to raise money, whichever channel that they want to go to. I need to understand the demand, the possibility, the opportunity, so I know how to position my own product. When I asked you, like, where are you going to get funding from, like, what's your plan, I wasn't just, like, making small talk. I just wanted to see if I could help. But you didn't really give me any information, so down the road.
Keeping it top secret.
And you need a lawyer if you want to keep stuff top secret. By this time, I basically gathered enough information to like give some Waterloo student like something to do on the weekend.
It's true.
I'm joking. I would never do that.
No, it's, it's possible. It's possible.
I can't really replicate something I don't get.
It's all a gamble. Every encounter is a gamble. Meeting you on the street was a big risk.
Last night at Versailles,
it's hard sometimes when guys are nervous. They're worrying about what to say, what to do, and how to not look bad, which we'll be talking about more in the next video, and how they sabotage themselves in the process. But being present, similar to being curious about the girl, genuinely curious, listening to her, being there, okay? Being empathetic, trying to put yourself in the woman's shoes, okay? Understanding what she might be going through, understanding that she's wired differently. Understanding how certain things might be coming off. That'll help her feel like you understand, like you care. If you startle her at some point, you let her know, hey, sorry, I didn't mean to startle you. Or maybe you recognize she's a little bit uneasy when you're talking to her. Let's say it's during the day. You say, I know this is kind of random. You have this like, what the fuck's going on look on your face, like this guy just fucking struck from the shadows, will help put her at ease. Oh, this guy gets it. He gets that this is kind of random, kind of out there. Okay, or maybe recognizing that you're escalating things a little too fast, stepping back, maybe letting her know, fuck, this is moving kind of fast. Maybe recognizing that her friends are there watching and potentially judging her. Okay, so empathetic, relatable, making it relatable. What does relatable mean? Trying to connect with her on various topics, trying to let her know why you're out there during the day when you met her, because you understand that she's wondering, what was he up to? What is he up? Is he just meeting girls during the day? Or is he meeting a friend for lunch and this happened organically? Okay, so, being more relatable, catering to your audience when you talk. If she's younger, if you're in your late 30s and she's in her early 20s, catering the conversation to make her feel more comfortable so that this age gap is not pronounced, not speaking in some super intelligent, witty way where shit's going over her head. Okay, for example. Lastly, being not judgmental. Being judgmental is just not good all around because we're never judging people themselves. We're always judging ourselves. We're projecting ourselves onto the situation and judging ourselves, okay? So judging is not productive. It's not gonna make a woman feel comfortable. You can tease her, but she never feel like you're judging her. If she watches some stupid reality TV show, you can tease her about it, but don't give off this air of superiority, okay? It's not good to give off the air of inferiority either, but you don't want to give off the air of superiority, okay? It's like, this guy thinks he's better than me. You're not better than her. You're not better than anyone. And, the three vehicles through which you can connect with a woman, okay, are time and space, emotional range and depth, and conversational range and depth. So time and space being allowing for time to help build that connection, allowing time to go by. Certain interactions, you need time. I'm dumbing things down here in a nutshell. You need time. Space, you need emotional space. You need physical space, right? Too much intimacy, right? Again, this feeds into this whole idea of pushing and pulling. Too much together like this, is not good. There needs to be space. Sometimes you take space from the girl in the interactions, whether it's on a date or when you first meet her. Okay, it's not constantly like you're together, especially at night. Guys have this misconception that when they first meet a girl, they have to just stay with her the whole time. No, it's good to, you talk to your friends, she talks to her friends, you walk away, do something, you come back, and creating this space, physically, emotionally, where you're not constantly like, on her, being more passive. And also as you change environments, as you go from one environment to another, as you change the space, that bonds, okay? You and the girl are constant and the environment is changing. So that's very bonding. Emotional range and depth. Showcasing various facets of yourself will make her more connected to you, will make you more relatable. Hey, this guy can be stern, he could also be goofy, he could also be sexual, he could also be, chill and go with the flow. He could also be sarcastic. Makes you more well-rounded, makes her be able to trust you more because she's seeing these different sides of you. It's not like the guy who's always, one way, super nice, and then he's this all of a sudden. Suddenly he's sexual. Comes out of left field. Suddenly he's super assertive because he blows up and resents the girl. So to gain her trust sooner, to be able to connect with her sooner, she wants to know, she wants to feel like she knows you, right? Like she's seen these different sides of you. Makes you more relatable.
You saw it? When?
Yeah, it's
When did you see it?
It's like green and white.
When?
You're so inappropriate. What will your mother think?
Wait. When did you see it? Oh yeah, it is green. I didn't even know. I'm ready for St. Patrick's Day. She and that pass. Hold
on, I want to put the hat on you. It's Toronto. It's leather. It's cool.
Are you from Canada?
Yeah, I'm from Toronto. Let's just chill.
So is Ryan Gosling. Do you know him?
Why are you always so high energy?
Are you from Toronto? Is there good hiking spots there? Can I go hiking there?
Why can't you be real with me?
I'm being real with you. Ow, I have so many knots in my hair.
Are you actually Ecuadorian?
Ew, no.
Where are you from?
I'm Mexican and Bolivian. I never said I was Ecuadorian.
Oh, sorry, Bolivian. Talk to me in Spanish.
No.
¿Por qué no?
Can't handle it.
It's because your Spanish is bad.
Probably, yeah. I need chapstick, actually.
Put some on. Blistex. Or no, what's the good one? Burt's Bees.
Ew, no, that one sucks. I need to sue EOS because they fucked me up. I have like Trader Joe's.
I'm gonna bite your leg.
What the?
What's your favorite pet? Cat, owl, or hedgehog?
I have a cat. He's beautiful.
Showcasing these different sides of you, having that emotional range and depth, going from, 1 minute you're kind of goofy, and then at some point you're like, yo, we gotta order now, or they're closing up. Let's say you're grabbing food at the end of the night and she's, I don't know, being obnoxious with her friend. You're like, yo, guys, we gotta order right now. Okay, there's 5 minutes, look at the menu, and we gotta go. So suddenly you're assertive, you're dominant, okay, you're stern. They're like, whoa, this guy can be this, he could also be that. And lastly is conversational range and depth. And that's the ability to talk about a variety of different things. It's the ability to sometimes have shallow conversations, sometimes have deeper conversations, conversations that are personal, that are impersonal, okay? The more range and depth you have and you're able to have with a girl, especially sooner rather than later, the more she can trust you and can feel more connected to you and feel like she is understood. It's like you can talk to her about the reality TV shows, you can also talk to her about economics and tech, whatever it is. You're also finding some common ground. But it also shows that you don't have this like rigid identity about yourself. You're not the guy who only talks about these, intellectual conversations, da-da-da-da. No, you can talk about this and that, and it can be shallow and it can be deep. So those are the 3 vehicles through which you can build comfort and build rapport, time and space, emotional range and depth, and conversational range and depth. And of course there are tons of tools and techniques that we can touch on further that can, you know, I'm just scratching the surface, giving you kind of a macro overview of what's up, but to help you understand how important it is for the woman to feel understood and comfortable and at ease with you, okay? And this, so that in this relatable connect, so she feels connected ultimately, which then contributes to that chemistry, okay? So you need those three things for chemistry to really blossom and stay there. The alpha attractiveness, the sexual tension, and the relatable connection. So guys, thank you for bearing with me. I know this is a lot. I hope you learned something from this video. Start thinking about these things, okay? Write some of this stuff down. You know, write some examples for yourself. Try to implement some of this stuff, all right? And I want you to add your comments. I want you to comment below any questions, comments, concerns, any revelations that you've had, realizations. All right, thanks again for watching, and be sure to tune in for the next video where we're gonna be discussing the 5 common ways in which guys sabotage their interactions or their dates. You're not gonna wanna miss it. Thanks again, and I'll see you soon.